Yeah, welcome to the unboxing video of the 2G Operator Toolbox. This is the Operator Toolbox and it contains a lot of material and tools you need for standard maintenance around your CHP and also for the M1 maintenance if you're allowed to do the M1 maintenance on your own. So let's have a look inside. So first of all, you will find the service news. So this is just a newsletter about this Operator Toolbox. By the way, further instructions can be found in the TAs, so technical manuals you will also find in the CHP documentation. They are also available in English for sure, but this is TA001. This is about coolant, so the G48 ready mix, for example. TA003, this is about lubrication, so lubricating oil. And TA21 about the ignition system, so maintenance for the spark plugs and everything around the ignition system. Inside the box, first of all, we find the oil sampling box. So in this box, we have some bottles for oil samples, including everything to ship it to the lab and to receive your oil sampling results. Additionally, we have this hose available, and this is to take the oil samples and from the engine into these bottles. About coolant, there is a pump inside, so doesn't matter if you're at 50 or 60 hertz. This pump is a drill pump, so you can put it on a battery powered drill. 50 hertz, 60 hertz, doesn't matter. Just the maximum speed is 2,800 RPM, and you can fill up coolant, so you should have a barrel or just a little bit of it available to fill up the engine cooling circuit or the gas mixture cooling circuit. So that's the pump. It also has a hose inside to get the coolant out of the barrel into the pump. With this adapter, you can mount it directly to the inlet side of the pump. And there's also a 10 meters hose to fill it up on the engine. So filling up on the engine, you have these adapters available. One of them fits on the pump, the other one fits on the engine circuit. So wherever you want to fill it up, you connect one of them, and you have these connectors for the hose side and the connectors you connected to the pump and the engine. The next thing are these single exhaust gas temperature sensors. So 3 of them are available in this box. By the way, this box is for the Agenitor 408, 412 and Avis 500 Plus. So other CHPs may have different content inside. Also the number may vary, so we have different article numbers for the different CHP types. And these single temperature sensors are needed. If one of them fails, the CHP will be stopped and it needs to be replaced. Otherwise, you cannot acknowledge the fault and you cannot restart the CHP. And as they are mounted into the exhaust gas outlet of the cylinder heads, you also need this special tool. So this is a nut to replace these single temperature sensors. You can use an Allen key to turn it and put it on top of the sensor itself. So it's for unmounting and mounting of these single temperature sensors. Next, we have a multimeter inside. This also contains the wires for measuring resistance, voltage, and amps. And there's also an adapter inside to connect Type K thermocouples. So Type K is, for example, these single temperature sensors. And there's also a thermocouple inside to measure temperatures like room temperature, air temperature, coolant temperature, anywhere around the CHP. So everything inside this multimeter. Next is a torque wrench. And the torque wrench is usable for spark plugs, for example, but also for oil filters and stuff around the CHP. If you also do the M1 maintenance, you may also use it for fixing the nuts for the valve clearance adjustment. So this has a range from 20 to 120 Newton meters, so it's a wide range for our CHPs. One thing you may need it for is the oil filters. So the V engines have 2 oil filter cartridges inside. So yeah, it's just the cartridge you need for the CHP, including 2 O-rings that need to be replaced whenever you replace the oil filter cartridges. And the cap on this cartridge needs a torque of maximum 40 Newton meters. So you should adjust it, or you should fix it just by hand. Maximum is 40 Newton meters, so you could use the torque wrench for it as well. We recommend to use less, just seal it. Anyway, for fixing, we have this 32 millimeter nut inside that also fits on the torque wrench. Regarding spark plugs, we have 3 spark plugs in this box, and yeah, each spark plug has a label on it that needs to be filled out during replacement. So mounting and unmounting operating hours, and it also says the torque for fixing it inside the engine. Yeah, so in this case, it's 50 Newton meters, so you can use the torque wrench for it as well. Yeah, important is whenever you unmount one of these pre-chamber spark plugs and you want to remount it, you have to replace the gasket on the spark plugs. And for this, we have a little bag of gaskets inside. It's about 50 new gaskets inside, and just replace them whenever you remount a used spark plug. And yeah, to get the old one off, we have this little cutting device, so you can easily remove the old one and fix a new one of these gaskets. Then there's also this nut to fix the spark plugs. We already said 50 Newton meters in this case. It fits on the torque wrench, and you can fix the spark plugs with 50 Newton meters. By the way, important, they should be engine warm. So if it's a warm engine, put them in by hand first and torque them a little bit later, about 10 minutes. Then there's a feeler gauge inside. So if you're allowed to do the M1 maintenance on your own, you can also set the valve clearance on your engine. So for all different CHP types, this feeler gauge will be inside the box as well. And last but not least, there is a 2G spark control inside. So this is to measure the spark voltage on the CHP, compare it, and yeah, figure out if you may have to replace spark plugs on your CHP. Yeah, as I already said, this is the box for Agenitor 408, 412, and Avus 500 Plus. If you have an MAN-based engine, you may have, for example, these shielded M18 spark plugs, or you may have just these standard hook spark plugs, in this case in M14 in your CHP. So depending on the CHP type, you will be able to get your specific operator toolbox. And for all these other spark plugs, there's also a set inside to adjust the gap of these different spark plugs. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Have much success with your operator toolbox, and maybe we see each other again in any training. Thanks and goodbye.